Gather close, my children, and subscribe to hear the ancient wisdom of our ancestors. Like this video if you believe in the power of destiny. In the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom, where the red earth meets the endless sky and the baobab trees whisper secrets older than memory, there lived a young woman whose beauty was as mysterious as it was cursed. Her name was Kachi, meaning, let God decide, and indeed, it seemed the gods had decided her fate before she drew her first breath. The village of Nkwanta sat like a jewel beside the Volta River, its mud brick houses adorned with intricate Adinkra symbols that told stories of courage, wisdom, and hope. Palm fronds rustled in the harmattan winds, carrying the scent of shea butter and roasted plantains from the bustling market square. Children's laughter echoed through narrow paths lined with kola nut trees, while the elders sat beneath the ancient irako tree, weaving tales and settling disputes. But whenever Kachi appeared, the laughter would die. She moved like a gazelle through the village, her ebony skin gleaming like polished mahogany, her eyes the color of honey catching sunlight. Gold bangles, gifts from her late mother, chimed softly on her wrists, and cowrie shells adorned her elaborately braided hair. Yet for all her beauty, she walked alone. Cursed child, the market women would whisper, clutching their protective amulets. Born under the blood moon when the spirits were angry. Kachi's father, Kwame the blacksmith, was the finest metalworker in 3 villages. His strong hands could shape iron into beautiful tools and weapons, but they trembled whenever he looked upon his daughter. Not from shame, but from a secret that weighed heavier than his hammer. 22 years ago, on the night Kachi was born, a terrible storm had ravaged Nkwanta. Lightning split the great irako tree, and the village oracle, Nana Akojua, had screamed prophecies that chilled everyone's blood. The child born this night carries the power to destroy or save us all. She will be rejected by many, loved by few, but her heart holds the key to our survival. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, because this story is about to take a turn that will leave you speechless. The rejection began early. As a child, Kachi's playmates would suddenly develop fevers after spending time with her. Crops would wither in fields where she walked. Most disturbing of all, she could see things others couldn't, spirits of the ancestors who roamed between worlds, speaking to her in the ancient tongue. By her 16th year, no young man would court her. Mothers pulled their sons away when she passed. Even the bold warrior Kofi, who had once declared his love, married another after his family threatened to disown him. My daughter, Kwame would say, his voice heavy with sorrow, your mother warned me this day would come. She made me promise. But he never finished that sentence, and Kachi learned to stop asking. Now, at 22, Kachi lived on the outskirts of the village with only her father for company. She spent her days by the river, talking to the water spirits and weaving baskets that no one would buy. The loneliness ate at her like a vulture picking at carrion, yet she endured. But everything changed the day the stranger arrived. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of amber and crimson, when a tall figure emerged from the forest path. He moved with the fluid grace of a hunter, his skin bearing the ritual scarifications of the northern tribes. Around his neck hung a pendant that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. His name was Django, and his dark eyes held secrets deeper than any well. As he entered the village square, seeking lodging for the night, his gaze fell upon Kachi drawing water from the well. For the first time in her life, someone looked at her without fear. Instead, he smiled. Welcome back, storytellers. If you're just joining us, make sure to watch Chapter 1 first, and don't forget to subscribe for more ancient wisdom from our ancestors. That night, the village elders gathered beneath the wounded irako tree, their faces grave in the flickering firelight. The stranger's arrival had stirred something in the spiritual realm, even those without the gift could feel it. The very air hummed with an energy that made dogs howl and babies cry. He carries the mark of the northern shamans, whispered Nana Akojua, the village oracle. Her clouded eyes, white with age but sharp with wisdom, stared into the flames as if reading the future in their dance. And his pendant. I have seen its like only once before, in the sacred caves of our ancestors. Elder Osei, his gray beard braided with golden beads, shook his head slowly. We should send him away at first light. Nothing good comes from mixing with those who traffic in ancient magics. But Django was not easily dismissed. He had taken lodging at the compound of Mama Esi, the village's most prosperous trader, paying her with gold dust that gleamed too purely to be of this world. And unlike every other visitor to Nquanta, he showed no fear of Kachi. The next morning, as the roosters crowed and the village stirred to life, Kachi made her way to the river as always. The path wound through groves of mahogany trees and past fields where women bent low, tending to cassava and yam plants. Their voices rose in traditional work songs, but fell silent when she appeared. At the riverbank, she knelt on the smooth stones worn by countless generations of women before her. The water spirits whispered secrets in the gurgling current, warnings of change coming like the rains after a long drought. They say you speak to spirits. Kachi's heart leaped. She turned to find Django standing behind her, his presence as silent as a leopard's approach. In the morning light, she could see him more clearly, the ritual scars on his cheeks that marked him as a griot son, the way his eyes seemed to hold depths like the sacred pools of the forest. Pause here and hit that like button if you're feeling the tension. This is where everything changes. The whole village speaks of many things, Kachi replied carefully, her voice steady despite the racing of her pulse. Most of it is wind and whispers. Django smiled, and it transformed his entire face. Wind and whispers carry truth more often than we care to admit. He gestured to the water. May I? No man had ever asked her permission for anything. Confused but intrigued, Kachi nodded. He knelt beside her, close enough that she could smell the wood smoke and leather scent that clung to his clothes. From his pouch, he withdrew a small clay vessel sealed with beeswax. In my village, far to the north where the desert meets the savannah, we have a saying, the river remembers what the land forgets. He broke the seal and poured a pinch of shimmering powder into the water. Immediately, the surface began to glow with an otherworldly light. Kachi gasped. In the luminous water, images began to form, not reflections, but visions of the past. She saw herself as a baby, held in the arms of a woman whose face was her own, but older, sadder. My mother, she whispered. Amara the seer, Django said softly. The most powerful oracle in all the kingdoms. She foresaw the great drought that would come, the war between the river tribes, the plague of locusts. But her greatest vision was of you. The water shifted, showing new images, a great darkness spreading across the land, villages burning, rivers running red. And standing against it all, a young woman with golden eyes, her hands glowing with power. This is why you were rejected, Django explained, his voice gentle but urgent. Your mother knew that you would need to be strong, to be apart, to develop your gifts without the corruption of false comfort. Every rejection, every lonely night, every tear you shed, it was preparing you for what's coming. Kachi's hands trembled as the visions faded. What's coming? Django's expression grew grim. The Darkness Walker. An ancient evil that feeds on fear and division. It grows stronger with each passing moon, and soon it will march upon all the villages of our ancestors. Only one with the pure sight, one who has walked between worlds since birth, can stop it. But I'm just a blacksmith's daughter, Kachi protested. I make baskets and talk to spirits. I'm not a warrior or a great oracle. Are you not? Django reached out, his fingers barely brushing hers. The moment their skin touched, power crackled between them like lightning. The river began to sing, the trees swayed without wind, and every bird in the forest fell silent. Kachi stared at their joined hands in wonder and terror. What are you? I am your guide, he said simply. Sent by the Council of Seers to find you, to help you remember who you truly are. Your father knows, ask him about your mother's final prophecy. Before she could respond, the sound of running feet echoed through the forest. Young Akwasi, the chief's son, burst through the trees, his eyes wild with panic. Kachi! You must come quickly. Your father, something terrible has happened. The mystery deepens. What has happened to Kwame? Comment below with your theories, and don't forget to share this story with someone who loves African folklore. They ran through the village, Django keeping pace beside them with the fluid grace of a born tracker. When they reached the blacksmith's forge, a crowd had already gathered. Through the circle of worried faces, Kachi could see her father lying unconscious, his strong hands clutched around a piece of metal that glowed with the same ethereal light as Django's pendant. Nana Akojua knelt beside Kwame, her gnarled fingers pressed to his forehead. When she looked up at Kachi's approach, her ancient eyes held recognition and something else, fear. "The time of hiding is over, child," she said in a voice that carried the weight of centuries. "Your father has been keeping your mother's final gift safe for 22 years. But the protective spell is breaking, and the Darkness Walker grows near. The choice can no longer be delayed." She pointed to the glowing metal in Kwame's grasp. "That is no ordinary iron. It is star metal, fallen from the sky on the night you were born. Your mother forged it with the last of her power into something that can either save our world, or destroy it." Kachi reached toward her father, but Django caught her wrist. "Wait. Once you touch that blade, there will be no going back. You will become what you were born to be, but you will also become the target of every dark force in existence." The crowd murmured in fear and anticipation. Here was the moment the prophecies had spoken of, the cursed daughter's choice between power and peace, between acceptance and destiny. As Kachi stared at the star-forged blade, she remembered her mother's words, whispered in dreams she had thought were mere fantasy, "My daughter, you are the bridge between worlds. When the darkness comes, you alone can light the way." The Darkness Walker was coming. Her village, her people, would need a protector. With trembling fingers, Kachi reached for the blade, and as her skin touched the star metal, the world exploded into light and shadow, power and purpose. Welcome back to this epic tale. If you're loving this journey, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're about to witness the transformation of a lifetime. The moment Kachi's fingers closed around the star-forged blade, the world erupted into chaos and wonder. Power coursed through her veins like liquid fire, and suddenly she could see everything. The intricate web of spirits that surrounded every living thing, the ancient ley lines that pulsed beneath the earth, the shadows gathering at the edge of the forest like vultures waiting to feast. But with power came pain. Memories that were not her own flooded her mind, her mother's final moments, pouring every ounce of her life force into the blade, the night of the great prophecy when the spirits themselves wept, the face of the Darkness Walker, beautiful and terrible, whose hunger could devour entire civilizations. "Breathe, Kachi," Django's voice cut through the overwhelming visions. His strong hand steadied her as she swayed, the blade now glowing so brightly that the gathered villagers had to shield their eyes. "Let the power flow through you, not against you. Your mother's blood remembers what to do." Around them, the crowd murmured in awe and terror. Some dropped to their knees in reverence, others backed away in fear. But Kachi barely noticed them. Her attention was captured by her father, whose eyes had fluttered open and now fixed on her with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "My daughter," Kwame whispered, struggling to sit up. "You have finally become who you were meant to be. Your mother, she would be so proud." The blade's light began to settle, no longer blinding but warm like sunlight filtering through leaves. As it did, Kachi felt the change within herself. Her senses were sharper, her strength greater, and most importantly, she could feel the spiritual realm as clearly as the physical world. But the moment of wonder was shattered by a sound that froze everyone's blood, a howling that came from no earthly throat, echoing from the depths of the forest like the cry of the damned. Hit that like button if you can feel the danger approaching. This is where our heroes face their first real test. "It knows," Django said grimly, his hand moving to the curved blade at his side. "The awakening of your power has called to it like a beacon. The Darkness Walker comes, and it brings its servants with it." Nana Akojua struggled to her feet, her ancient bones creaking. "Quickly! Everyone to the sacred circle around the Irako tree. The old protections still hold there, but not for long." As the villagers scrambled to obey, Django turned to Kachi with urgent eyes. "Your training begins now. There's no time for gentle lessons or gradual understanding. You must learn to wield your power, or we all die tonight." Kachi's heart hammered against her ribs. I don't know how. I've never done anything like this before. Yes, you have, he replied firmly. Every time you spoke to the spirits, every time you sensed things others couldn't, every moment of loneliness when you reached out to the invisible world, that was training. Now trust yourself. The howling grew closer, joined by other sounds that made the hair on everyone's arms stand on end, the crack of breaking branches as something massive moved through the forest, the whisper of wings that blotted out the stars, and underneath it all, a voice that spoke in the old tongue, promising pain and despair. From the sacred circle where the villagers huddled, Elder Osei's voice rose in the ancient protection chants, joined by others who remembered the old ways. The Irako tree began to glow with a soft green light, its wounded trunk healing as the ancestral spirits responded to their call. But even as Kachi watched, she could see the darkness pressing against the light like oil against water, seeking any crack or weakness. They're coming through, she breathed, her new sight showing her what others couldn't see, shadow creatures pouring through tears in the spiritual fabric, their eyes like burning coals and their claws dripping with malevolent energy. The first of them burst from the tree line, a creature that had once been human but was now twisted into something nightmarish. Its skin was black as pitch, its limbs too long, and when it opened its mouth, the sound that emerged could shatter stone. Django moved like lightning, his blade singing as it cut through the air. But where his steel touched the creature, it simply reformed, laughing with a sound like breaking glass. Physical weapons won't work, he called to Kachi. Only spirit-forged metal and the power of the seers can harm them. More creatures emerged from the forest, some walking on the ground, others flowing through the air like living smoke. The protective circle around the Irako tree blazed brighter, but cracks were already appearing in the barrier. Children cried out in terror as parents pulled them close. Young Akwasi tried to rally the village warriors, but their spears and arrows passed harmlessly through their enemies. Only Nana Akojua seemed unafraid, her chants growing stronger as she wove protection spells with hands that glowed with silver light. This is it. The moment of truth. Comment below, do you think Kachi is ready for this battle? That was when Kachi saw him, the Darkness Walker himself, stepping from the shadows between the trees with the terrible beauty of a fallen star. He was tall and elegant, his skin pale as moonlight, his hair flowing like liquid night. But his eyes were voids that seemed to swallow light itself. Daughter of Amara, he spoke, and his voice was honey over poison, beautiful and deadly. You shine so brightly in your newfound power. Come to me willingly, and I will spare your people. Resist, and I will make their suffering legendary. Never, Kachi replied, and was surprised by the strength in her own voice. The starblade pulsed in her hand, responding to her emotions. The Darkness Walker smiled, revealing teeth like polished obsidian. So be it. But know this, every scream, every death, every moment of agony your people endure will be because you chose pride over mercy. He raised his hand, and the shadow creatures surged forward in a wave of malevolence. The protective barrier around the Irako tree began to crack like ice under pressure. Kachi closed her eyes, feeling for the power her mother had left her, the strength that had been building through 22 years of rejection and solitude. As our ancestors say, the clay pot is strongest after it has passed through the fire. When she opened her eyes, they blazed with golden light. You want me? She called to the Darkness Walker, stepping forward even as Django reached out to stop her. Then face me yourself. Let my people go, and we'll settle this between us, power against power, destiny against destiny. The Starblade erupted into brilliant radiance, and for the first time since his arrival, the Darkness Walker looked uncertain. Around them, his shadow servants recoiled from the light, hissing like serpents. You would challenge me directly? He asked, his beautiful face twisting with something between admiration and rage. You, who have known your true self for mere moments. I am Kachi, daughter of Amara the Seer, keeper of the Starblade, bridge between worlds, she declared, and with each word, her power grew stronger. I have been rejected by the world of men so that I might be accepted by the world of spirits. I have walked in loneliness so that I might stand in strength. And I will not let you destroy what I was born to protect. The Darkness Walker's laugh was like breaking crystal, beautiful and sharp enough to cut. Very well, little seer. Let us see if your mother's sacrifice was worth the price. As he raised his hands, darkness gathered around him like a living storm. But Kachi stood firm, the starblade singing with power, ready to write the final chapter of a prophecy 22 years in the making. The battle for the soul of the village, and perhaps the world, was about to begin. Behind her, Django whispered a prayer to the ancestors, his own blade ready to fight beside her. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The cursed daughter would curse no more. Tonight, she would become the salvation her people had been waiting for. Kachi's newfound power be enough to defeat the Darkness Walker? Can love triumph over ancient evil? Subscribe now and prepare for Chapter 4, the final battle that will determine the fate of all. Share this story with everyone you know. Some tales are too powerful to keep to yourself.